all I want to talk about is everything I did with all these boards to get over board madness. So it's honestly, this video's not for everyone because you don't have board madness. That's perfect. That's good. If you don't really, everything skates good underneath your feet. You feel comfortable. You're chilling. You're good. Perfect. That's the best feeling. That's the, that's what I was going for. That's the goal. So board madness is the stupidest thing ever. It's the worst, shittiest thing ever. I was going crazy. So yeah, all I did everything I did, every test, every shape, every experiment on these boards was just to get over board madness. To where I finally felt comfortable on my board again, to where every time I popped, I knew the board was coming with me again. So it was all about the timing, how to get your, make sure the timing of the board feels comfortable. You don't want a board to feel too long and too short. So just making sure the board feels comfortable. That's it. I didn't do all this for fun. I didn't want to just mess with my skateboarding. I didn't want to just, that's the worst thing to do. So if you find a shape you like, shape action, not just size, like 8'2" or 8'3" or 8'1", not just size. If you find a shape you like, so like the concave, if it's more mellow, more steep, and you probably don't know where the wheelbase is drilled when you just go to a skate shop and see it, but that's what I mean by shape. So the steepness of the concave, if it's steep or mellow, and then where the wheelbase is drilled, those are kind of the biggest factors, to be honest. At least to mess with the timing, and that's what really will help you feel more comfortable if your timing feels good, if you pop, so every time you go up to something and you pop and your board's you're not gonna just randomly, it's not gonna feel shitty. So that's why I did everything, was just get my timing back on my pop, to get my timing back on my tricks. So when I come up to like a 50-50, whether it's just a stair, like a hubba, a ledge, whatever it is, when you pop, you're gonna hit the ground and get up on the ledge. So that's all, everything I did was just get my pop back, get my 50-50s back, get my timing back, get comfortable on the board again. So I'm just gonna say it, I'm just gonna make a video and see what I've been doing, what I messed with, and how I came up with these two shapes. So these are the two shapes that I had to make after going through all 15, 20 different experiments, boards. Not just going through 15, 20 different boards, but even the shapes of it. So even like the concave, how much adjusting I have to do. I don't know if you can see every single one of those wheelbase adjustments I did, just to kind of see how far or how close you want the wheelbase drilled from the tail and the nose. So do you want more fingers of flat, less fingers of flat? Where's like the perfect medium? But yeah, so hopefully you can see. I just want to make sure you can see. Okay, so you can just right here look at it. So the top board is the mellow board, super flat. There's no hips compared to the steeper concave, which got the big hips. But the nose and tail on the mellow board, the top one, is still really big. Still got a nice nose and tail, so it does still feel really, poppy. It feels really good still. It feels strong, but it's not just super dead and flat like this board. So this one is really flat, and the nose and tail is also really flat. It's too flat. Alright, and then so with getting over board madness, really the best thing to feel comfortable on board is the timing. You make sure your timing is there, so when you go up to anything, even if it's a flat bar, ledge, stair, when you're riding up to something and you pop, so the timing of that pop, even I guess flat ground, if you pop and you constantly aren't your pop's not working, you're not actually getting off the ground, you're not actually, your board's not coming with you, right? When your board's not coming with you, once you hit your tail, that's like, shit, something's off. As long as you know it's actually the board. And everyone will say it's not me, it's the board. Sometimes it is you, sometimes it is the person. But when it's actually hey, I've been skating for a long time, I should be able to just get on this dumb ledge. But I just went last week from my girl board to this Baker board, from my real board to this magenta board, whatever it is, right? Every board is a little bit different in shape, to be honest. Not every single one. Some companies do have the same shapes, or there's kind of like a standard shape or whatever. But when you've been riding, your steep concave that has, 1 inch of fingers of flat before the tail, it's got, it's shifted centered, drilled centered, and then you go to a completely different board that's got 1.5 inches of flat, it's, whatever it is, I'm saying that's gonna mess you up. It's gonna feel a lot different if you've been riding. So basically, if you find a shape that's comfortable, honestly stick with that shape. That's really helpful. But yeah, so basically, the biggest thing in that comes down to after the board's been cut out already, right? So it doesn't matter if it's cut out, centered, or shifted. So once it's been kind of cut out, however it's been cut out, the wheelbase. Once the wheelbase is drilled, wherever it's drilled, it has to have the perfect amount of like leverage, right? I'm trying to hope you can see this, but so the fingers are flat. So here, the wheelbase on this board is drilled center, so it's symmetrical. So there's the same amount of fingers of flat for the nose and the tail. And to be honest, some people really do like having more fingers of flat on the nose. So, you know, when you're skating switch, it actually hits the board down a lot quicker like that for switch. But it can, you know, you gotta be careful with that. But this is centered and about 1.5, it is exactly 1.5 inches of flat, I know that. It's 1.5 inches of flat with a good tail. So if it had 1.5 inches of flat with that flat tail, which is 1.5 inches of flat, that blue board. So if it has 1.5 inches of flat with this mold, because the tail is super flat, it feels like a dud, dude. It feels really weird, it feels stupid. But if it's got 1.5 inches of flat with the big tail and a big nose, it actually, I mean, I can get the measurements too. It's about 23, which if you see, it's got a big tail. So if it's got a lot of fingers of flat before the bend, and it's got a really dud, like a small, like not good tail, it might feel pretty weak. Not weak as in it's gonna break or anything like that, but weak as in like you're not gonna get that pop off of it as easily. You still can. I mean, you can skate any board and you just adjust to it, you can do that. But if you rather not take so much effort into adjusting to every single new board. But so this board, this is the mellow shape. It's got the 1.5 inches of fingers of flat with the big tail, big nose. So it works perfect. So it's a good shift. I mean, it's a good shit. All right, another thing I'm just gonna show you is, so let's say you go to a skate shop. So this is, you go to a skate shop and you're looking at between this type of board or this type of board, and you want to know quickly, like if you like what I'm talking about, roughly which board you're gonna pick, right? So comparing the two boards, just like this, stack them together, and you say, hey, I like a steep board. Like my last few boards have been really steep. Like you just know they're steep. There's a lot of concave, a lot of bend between them, so they're not flat board. You like steep boards. Put two together, and once you see the hips, all right, this is the steeper board. Or I actually like a flat board, right? I like it where like it's flatter, feels like it spins faster, feels like I'm not really so attached to the board. For like, you know, I'm trying to do some tray flip back lips, back tails, whatever. I'm just playing, but there's a difference in a flatter board and a steeper board for like certain things. But yeah, so you compare them, you stack them up to each other. So what you do is just stack them up. You can see the bends and the curves, which one's flatter, which one's more steep. And then you can also, what you should do, to be honest, if you know, hey, I like more fingers of flat. So the more fingers of flat you have before the nose and the tail, is how quicker it's gonna hit the ground. So, and then that's like how strong it's gonna be, the leverage, you know, that triangle that Professor Schmidt talks about, which is huge. So if it's got, you probably won't ever see like 3-4 fingers of flat ever on a typical board. But if it's got like, so when you literally put your fingers where the holes are drilled, put your fingers, and you can do it, you know, on the actual top side of the board so you can see. But if you see if it's got more fingers of flat, what I'm getting at is if it's got more fingers of flat before the bend, it's gonna be a lot quicker. The board's gonna go down a lot faster. But if it's got too much, so that's not really like all you want to go for, because it's got to have a perfect medium. So if it's got really a lot of flat before the tail, and if the tail's not that steep, it's gonna feel really not poppy of a board. But again, some people like really flat boards. But these boards, so it's got honestly 1.5 inches of flat, which is about 2.5 fingers. Exactly, yeah, 2.5 fingers. And then it's got a good sized tail, so it makes up for the 1.5 fingers of flat. So it still go down really quick, so it's really easy to go down. It's really easy to manual on this board. But if it's got a lot less fingers of flat, if it only had 1 fingers of flat, but anyways, so if it's got like less fingers of flat, the board's gonna take a little bit longer to go down. If it's got more fingers of flat, it's gonna be a lot quicker to go down. And then that's pretty important. So just know the shape, whether it's steeper or mellower. Know how much fingers of flat you have and how much you want. Though that's the thing, you need to know how much you like. Alright, alright. So I just want to show you, so this is what I meant by like, can you see all the wheelbase adjustments? And so these are all PS sticks, so you can see his, I only cut that out in the middle there so you can see, you know, the label seal, laser seal. Flat or concave. And the grip tape is only weird on this one because I started running out of grip tape and I had to reuse grip tape by taking it off another board. But just because I was testing it, I didn't feel like getting another sheet of grip tape at the time. But it also has a big enough nose and tail to where it can hold onto your feet.